Hey everybody, it's Mr. Hasquin, and I'm here with another one of those things you should know by being alive. This one's kind of by special request. It's from Olivia, and she wants to know my take about the Boston Massacre. Well, the Boston Massacre wasn't really a massacre, but it was a turning point, so I just kind of want to talk my way through it, break it down for you guys. In the 1760s, Boston was just like boiling. Britain had just fought the French and Indian War. Britain was deeply in debt. So Parliament had to pass a series of taxes. The Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts. This really upset the colonists, of course. And the people of Boston didn't have a vote in Parliament, but they were being taxed anyway. And so that's where the phrase "no taxation without representation" came from. It's like, hey, if you want to tax us, then give us a voice in Parliament. Give us a seat there. Now, to enforce these new taxes, the British government, the Crown, sent customs agents. And so to protect those agents who are collecting the taxes, they sent British soldiers, redcoats. And by 1768, there was about 2,000 regular British troops stationed in Boston, a city of about 16,000. So you've got one soldier for every 8 people. It's noticeable. So that doesn't sit real well with the Bostonians, and soldiers were competing with local workers for jobs. They were walking the streets in their uniform. They were enforcing laws that the people hated. You have fights, you have insults, you have brawls. These things break out all the time. Boston's really becoming kind of a powder keg. And on the night of March 5th, 1770, it all kind of explodes. So there's this young apprentice named Edward Garrick, and he yelled at a British soldier, and he accused the captain of not paying his barber bill. And the soldier struck him with the butt of his musket, and that draws a crowd. More soldiers arrive, more townspeople begin to gather around, snowballs, chunks of ice are being thrown, people are shouting insults, daring the soldiers to shoot. One soldier ends up getting hit with a club, another one slips, fires, and that shot triggers a volley, boom, 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 into the crowd. And when the smoke finally clears, we have 5 Bostonians, 5 colonists dead, including Crispus Attucks, who was a formerly enslaved black man. He's a freeman now. He's considered to be the first casualty of the American Revolutionary War. And the event was over in seconds, but the impact, it lasts for decades. Almost immediately, patriots like Paul Revere and Samuel Adams jump on this event. They label it the Boston Massacre, and even though it wasn't a massacre in the traditional sense, it made for good propaganda. Revere makes an engraving that you see right here. It showed the British lined up, firing into a helpless, peaceful crowd, and he made sure that this woodcut spreads fast. And the image is inaccurate. That didn't matter. It stirred up outrage. And suddenly, people across the colonies were seeing British soldiers as monsters and the colonists as innocent victims. But not everyone is going along with the hype. John Adams, yes, future President John Adams, actually defends the British soldiers in court. He argues that they fired in self-defense. The jury will agree. 6 soldiers are completely acquitted. 2 were found guilty of manslaughter, and they were branded on the hand, which was a relatively light punishment. Now, John Adams believed strictly in the rule of law, even when it meant defending the enemy. He later said it was one of the most important things that he ever did. He stood up in something he strongly believed in, and that was the law. So what makes the Boston Massacre so important? First, it gives the patriot cause a symbol, this bloody confrontation that they could all rally around. Secondly, it proved how powerful propaganda could be. Paul Revere's image, this image here, shaped public opinion far more than the facts. This thing gets spread up and down the colonies through the committees of correspondence. It gets published in the newspapers. Now, thirdly, it showed that the colonies could stand up to the crown, not with just words, but with unity. This is an important movement here. So fourthly, it exposes the divisions that are already growing inside the colonies. Some people, they wanted full revolution. Others still wanted to have peace. And the Boston Massacre is this moment where people are effectively forced to pick a side. So finally we get into this, and it shows that violence between Britain and the colonies was no longer unthinkable. And in just 5 years, they'd be at war. So the Boston Massacre isn't just a street fight. It's a match that lit a fuse. And that fuse goes on to be the American Revolution, the Revolutionary War, the War for Independence, however you want to look at it. So yes, I think it is one of the important events that starts like that snowball effect. It starts at the top of the mountain, a small snowball, and it rolls and rolls and gains momentum and gains mass, and it's an unstoppable force of history by the time it continues to grow and grow and grow when it reaches the bottom. So if you learned something today, if you enjoyed this, please like or share it. Follow me, please, and I'll do more things you should know by being alive, because I believe that history matters. Especially, well, this one literally started with snowballs, and it ended in revolution. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Olivia, for asking.